Hello everyone, it's Old Guardian here. In this video I'm going to take a look at the free decks that Hearthstone is giving to new and returning players and check out which one of those is the best, which one you would want to choose. So first of all, when can you get a free deck? You get a free deck when you're a new player. Once you complete the apprenticeship ranks and reach Bronze 10, you're given a new deck. Or you can also skip the apprenticeship, but then you will miss out on a bunch of pack rewards. Then you will start ladder at Bronze 10 and you are given a free deck. Also, if you're a returning player, these rules have been constantly evolving, and the current rules are that if you're a returning player and you return to the game after 90 days of not logging in, this number has been going down. Also, it's nowadays available multiple times. So originally you had to log in and you got a deck, and then you couldn't get another deck even if you quit Hearthstone again and came back again. But now Hearthstone is so old, people have been quitting, returning, quitting, returning. This cycle repeats. So now you can get the deck multiple times. You just have to be out of the game for 90 days in between. Also, another new thing, you will get to try all the free decks before you have to make your decision. So for 1 week, you will get all of the decks into your collection, you will be able to play with them, and then after 1 week, you will choose one of those decks, which you will get to keep, you will get all of those cards permanently, and the others will be gone. And currently there are only 6 decks. There used to be 10 decks, one for each class, but for some reason they removed 4 decks when they changed the system, so there are decks for only 6 classes at the moment. The next update to these decks is expected to come in patch 25.0, so when March of the Lich King will launch. However, there is no particular reason to wait for that launch, because the decks are always one expansion behind. The current decks have cards from Voyage to the Sunken City, the next decks will have cards from Castle Nathria. They will not have much of the Lich King cards anyway, so it's perfectly fine to come back into the game now. Before March of the Lich King, you will get more rewards than the worth of waiting just to get updated decks. Alright, with all of that said, let's take a look at the decks themselves. First of all, we have the Demon Hunter deck, and this is an Aggro Demon Hunter deck. It's not a bad deck at all, and it actually comes with 3 really powerful Demon Hunter legendary cards: Kurtr's Demon Render, Lady Steno, and Zilak of the Abyss. So overall, this is one of the higher value decks. Actually, this is the highest value deck, dust-wise. It brings you 3 actually playable legendary cards. And this is also pretty simple to upgrade into a very good meta deck. So yeah, this is a completely fine option. Remember that you will get to try all of this out first, so you don't just have to decide immediately. Also playstyle matters, but this is a very strong option. Then we have the Hunter deck. The Hunter deck, many of the legendary cards in the Hunter deck are actually free cards, so you don't get quite as many legendary cards from this one. Dust-wise, this is clearly cheaper, but this does give you 2 extremely strong playable legendary cards with Beastalker Tavish and Hydralodon. Also, Beast Hunter is a very strong archetype, although it's a very expensive archetype. It runs lots of legendary cards, so upgrading this deck into the full meta version, that's going to take some time. But the deck is playable in its current shape, and very strong option as well. Then we have the Mage deck, and the Mage deck is kind of weird, because this is a mech mage. It's an archetype from Voyage to the Sunken City. The archetype has not received any support since. So legendary cards like Gaia the Tectonic, Ini, Stormcoil, you can only play those in mech decks. They are not widely usable. It does give you Balinda Stoneheart as well, which is a legendary card that is used in current Mage meta decks. But overall, it's a playable archetype. It's a little bit old-fashioned. You can use it in bronze, but you won't be able to climb very far with it, and it doesn't have a lot of upgrade prospects. The Priest deck is a version of the top Priest meta deck at the moment, which is Naga Priest, built around Serpentwig, an epic card that just buffs up your Nagas. It also gives you the key legendary card for that archetype, Priestess Valishi. Valkyrie Refresh and empty mana crystal for each spell you cast this turn. It's a Naga, so you can really pump up your Nagas. However, Naga Priest really came to prominence in Murder at Castle Nathria, using some Murder at Castle Nathria cards, legendary, couple of epics. So this version of the deck is not very strong. This is clearly weaker than the meta version. On the other hand, the meta version is not very far away. So if this is the playstyle that you enjoy, then upgrading this into a meta version of Naga Priest is quite within your grasp. The Rogue deck is an old-fashioned version of Thief Rogue. It does come with some interesting legendary cards, Shadowcrafter's Scab, Smasher of the Masquerade, Queen Azara, so it has some things going for it. out of the box, this is clearly the weakest of the 6 decks. I mean, you probably will struggle in bronze with this deck. And also, it's kind of upgradable. Thief Rogue is playable. Thief Rogue is not top tier, it's playable, but it takes some work to upgrade this. So I'm a little wary of actually recommending this archetype, although it does give you some cards if you like playing Rogue and you're willing to work on building other Rogue decks. This does give you some cards like Master of the Masquerade, like Wildboar Knolls, that you can use to build your favorite Rogue deck. And finally, there is Murloc Warlock, an aggro Warlock deck. Also, Voyage to the Sunken City archetype hasn't received any support since, so doesn't really seem to have a future at the moment. It's okay, it's kind of playable deck, although the Imp Warlock, another aggressive Warlock deck that came in Castle Nathria, is better than this Murloc Warlock, and with those lack of upgrade prospects, then that just makes it a little bit of a weaker choice. So, in summary, the decks are about average versions of the meta decks that were played in Sunken City, so in the previous expansion. All but the Rogue deck are still playable somewhat on lower ranks, not so much on higher ranks. You probably have the best time with Demon Hunter or Hunter in higher ranks. Hunter, Demon Hunter, they are the strongest decks as they are in that form. Then if you think about, okay, well, how do I build a really playable deck? How can I build a deck that can be played all the way to Legend, for example? Then Priest and Demon Hunter are the ones that are easiest to upgrade. And Hunter also has kind of a clear upgrade path to a tier 1 deck, but that requires a lot more legendary cards, so it's more difficult. The other decks are a bit of a dead end. It's really hard to upgrade those. And one final consideration in choosing the deck, pay attention to the legendary cards that you want. The decks give legendary cards, they all give some playable legendary cards. And a single legendary card is worth all of the dust in the deck, basically. If you disenchant the entire deck, you can craft one legendary. So any playable legendary cards that you want are a really good reason to pick a deck. So if there's legendary cards, you know that, hey, these are the types of cards that I want to be playing with, even if it's not in this deck, even if I need to build the other stuff around it, then that's probably the deck that you want to pick. Thank you for watching. Click like and subscribe if you enjoyed this, and a special thanks to all of my Patreon supporters, YouTube members and Twitch subscribers who make all of these videos possible.